Example of a bad habit. Let me work on this. But first, let me watch one more YouTube clip.
3 hours later.
How to break a habit. As it turns out, there's a structure to habits proven by science. We have the trigger, we have the craving, we have the response, and we have the reward. The most direct way to fight a habit is to fight the craving. When you feel like doing something, just use your willpower not to do it. Resist the temptation to just watch another clip. It's hard and it doesn't always work, but fortunately there's more than one approach. The second way to fight a habit is to fight the trigger. In this case, the trigger is the intention to start work, and as soon as you think about work, you get the craving to procrastinate before that work. So let's see if we can change the trigger such that it confuses our brain and it doesn't lead to the same procrastination craving anymore. For this, you should approach work differently. Plan it differently, time box it, schedule it, go to a different location to work, approach it differently in such a way that your habit neurocircuits don't recognize it as being the trigger for that particular craving. It's going to feel different and maybe you won't trigger the same bad habits. The third way to break the habit is by working with a response. Let the trigger happen, let the craving flow, but substitute your usual response with something else. If your typical response is to procrastinate, to watch some YouTube clips, do something else instead. For example, take a piece of paper and write down the clips you will watch after you finish work. That simple act of putting it down on paper might again trick your brain into thinking that you've adequately satisfied the craving and you've given a sufficient response. This is similar to how some people that quit smoking replace the response of lighting up a cigarette with the response of chewing some gum. The triggers are still there, they still have the craving, but they substitute the response. The final way to fight a bad habit is to contaminate the reward. That good feeling you have when you respond to your craving, make it not so good anymore, for example, by punishing yourself. Say that every time you watch a clip, you need to do 10 push-ups. For example, you don't need to do all of these at once. One could be enough. In the beginning, you'll forget doing them, and it will take some time to remember. But if you manage to fight your habit in one of these ways consistently for 2 to 3 months, you will likely break it for good and erase it completely from your system. And that's how you break a bad habit.